Hungarikum is a collective term indicating a value worthy of distinction and highlighting within a unified system of qualification, classification and registry, and which represents the high performance of Hungarian people thanks to its typically Hungarian attribute, uniqueness, specialty and quality. Besides those presented in the previous episode, Hungarikums are categorized in the following clusters: cultural heritage, intellectual and tangible property of cultural heritage, in particular literature, science, folk art and folk crafts, ethnography, cinema, applied arts, fine arts, dance and music, and also monuments and archaeological sites of exceptional value, historical sites and World Heritage sites. Hungarian songs are part of the national identity and are strongly connected to traditions, dance and language. The music education concept of Zoltán Kodály relies on the traditions of Hungarian folk music and was formulated based on the idea that Hungarian children should learn high-class European classical music and folk music of their own country. Operetta is famous for catchy tunes, humorous characters and entertaining love stories. From the beginning of the 20th century, some Hungarian composers, Jenő Huszka, Pál Ábrahám, Ferenc Lehár and Imre Kálmán managed to become world famous. Tárogató is a wind instrument believed to date back to the arrival of Hungarians to this land. It became widely popular at the time of the Ottoman occupation in the 16th century. The cimbalom is a string instrument played with two light hammers. It has a trapezoidal shape with diatonic or chromatic tuned metal strings stretched across its top. Cimbalom is one of the most important instruments of gypsy orchestras. The 100-member Gypsy Orchestra is a world-famous company which presents compositions of some of the greatest composers of classical music and also performs traditional Hungarian gypsy music and Hungarian songs. The Táncház folk dance house method is one of the most outstanding and internationally acknowledged methods for preserving intangible cultural heritage by reviving traditional folk dance in communities. Tanya is a unique rural type of settlement typical of Alföld, the Great Hungarian Plain, an inhabited place outside city limits. Originally they served mainly as centers of farming and provided winter shelter for livestock. The first series of Hungarian folk tales, Magyar Népmesék, was launched in 1977 and the series finished with 100 episodes altogether. The visual solutions and characteristic figure portrayals of the stories were taken from the folk art of different Hungarian regions.
Ki a legény a csárnában? Magam vagyok ott! Akire én rákiáltok, azt sem mondja huk!
The huge and unprecedented oeuvre of Count István Széchenyi stood out not only in his own age, but carries important values today as well. His exemplary love toward his homeland, his belief in progress, sacrifices and willpower made him one of the greatest figures of the history of Hungary. Gáspár Károly, a Calvinist pastor, translated and published the first Bible in Hungarian in 1590. The 425-year-old publication has an immense cultural, religious, historical and linguistic value. The Pauline Order, the only Hungarian-founded monastic order, has played an important role in the history, culture and spiritual life of the nation for almost 800 years. It was founded in 1250 by Blessed Eusebius, canon of the Cathedral of Esztergom, by uniting the recluses of the Patach mountain and the Pilis mountains. The Pentecost pilgrimage of Csíksomlyó in Transylvania, today Romania, is the largest religious event of Hungarian Christians in the Carpathian Basin.
Ó, én édes jó Istenem, oltalmazóm, segedelmem, vándorlásban reménységem, hínségemben lágy kenyerem. Vándor fecske sebes szárnyát, vándor legény, vándor bottyát, vándor székely reménységét. Jézus áld meg Erdély földjét.
The area of Lake Fertő has been the meeting place of different cultures for 8,000 years, creating a characteristic cultural landscape. Due to its unique natural values, UNESCO designated it as a biosphere reserve in 1979. The lake and the surrounding villages were designated as World Heritage Cultural Landscapes in 2001 by the World Heritage Committee. In 1973, the Hortobágy Puszta in the Great Plain became a national park spanning 52,000 hectares, a significant portion of UNESCO Biosphere Reserve and World Heritage Site. Hortobágy has been an outstanding example of the traditional cooperation of man and nature for 2 millennia. The Buda Castle district and the banks of the Danube on both sides of the river are also part of the World Heritage, together with Andrássy Avenue, Hero Square and the Millennium Underground Railway. The early Christian cemetery of Pécs from the 4th century is a comprehensive example of the burial architecture and art of early Christians in the northern and western provinces of Rome. The underground burial chambers and the memorial chapel attest the persistence and faith of the Christian communities living in Europe in the late Roman period. The Benedictine Abbey of Pannonhalma is one of the most outstanding national historic sites in Hungary. Both for its architecture and intellectual traditions, the abbey is a unique example of a 1,000-year-old working Christian monastery. The village of Hollókő, developed over the 17th and 18th centuries, is a unique example of traditional single-street settlement structure, traditional architecture and rural life before the agricultural revolution of the 20th century. Tokaj wine region has a microclimate that is unique in the world and is especially great for the production of Osu wine. It has a tradition dating from the 16th century of producing naturally sweet Osu wines and other high-quality dry white wines. The area was the first closed wine region in the world to be established. The Kalocha embroidery and wall painting are widely known examples of Hungarian folk art. As an artistic activity, it is a special component of the traditional peasant culture of the villages that developed around Kalocha in the 18th-19th centuries. Matyó embroidery has a history of 200 years. The most emblematic and well-known of its countless motifs is the Matyó rose. The folk art and the traditional costume of the Matyó ethnography group represents the uniqueness of the Hungarian folk art. Lace making has more than 100 years tradition in Kiskunhalas. The technique is very time-consuming and demands 100% manual work, done with very fine snow-white thread and an extremely thin needle. The Zsolnai Cultural Quarter was the biggest investment of Pécs 2010 Cultural Capital of Europe project, which involved construction works on the majority of the territory of the Zsolnai porcelain factory. Herent Porcelain Manufactory is currently the largest porcelain factory in the world. Values embodied by Herent Porcelain include special skills gathered throughout generations, traditions of manufacturer porcelain making, secret recipes of porcelain paints, striving for outstanding quality, and continuous renewal. Hungary's oldest porcelain factory, established in 1777, is located in Hollóháza, in the county of Borsod-Abaúj Zemplén. The complex Hungarian horn bow from the 9th-11th centuries belongs to the group of complex reflex bows originally used in the Euro-Asian steppes. Hungarian falconry has a history spanning more than 1,000 years. It is part of the Hungarian identity and has been practiced throughout the history of Hungary. Hungarians were famous for their horseback archery skills for centuries. This tradition is still kept alive in the country. Hungarian hussars were members of the light cavalry who, in the past half-millennium, demonstrated prowess in war. Busó festivities have been a tradition of the Sokác minority in Mohács for centuries. They are a typical example of European end-of-winter, spring-awaiting fertility festivals in which Busós, wearing a wooden mask and a hood, drive away winter. Health and lifestyle. Intellectual achievements and material assets of the scientific and traditional ways of disease prevention and treatment, medicines, herbs, medicinal products, bath and spa culture. Hévíz Lake is one of the natural wonders of Hungary. With its 4.5 hectare surface, It is the largest hot water lake in Europe with medicinal properties. The springs produce 35 million liters of water each day, therefore the total water stock is replaced every 3 days. János Kabai was a Hungarian inventor, researcher and chemist. He is famous for reforming the method of morphine production. Aunt Ilcsi's products are manufactured according to the strictest natural cosmetic requirements from only the best quality organic materials. More than 100 plants are used for the products. Most of them are grown on their own organic plantations. The Hungarian District Nurse Service is a scientific, intellectual and community asset that is closely related to Hungarian knowledge and tradition. Tourism and hospitality. The category includes tourism brands, gastronomy and services which make Hungary famous all over the world. Goulash is one of the most popular foods of Hungarian origin known worldwide. In the 19th century, in the transforming Hungarian gastronomy, more and more food would be prepared with paprika. Quality paprika is an essential ingredient in goulash. Hungarian fish soup is traditionally associated with 3 distinctive water bodies, Lake Balaton, the Danube and the Tisza River, and is made in different ways. The mutton stew of the Kumanian region, prepared according to the Karcag recipe, is a gastronomic treasure characteristic of the region. The meat is cooked in a cast iron pot and is seasoned with onion, ground paprika and salt. Károly Gundel successfully combined Hungarian gastronomy with foreign cuisines. He had a genuine sense to apply the modern technology in Hungarian gastronomy at the turn of the century. As a result of his pioneer work, Hungary was put on the gastronomic map of the world. Dobos cake is a sponge cake layered with chocolate buttercream and topped with caramel. The layered pastry is named after its inventor, Hungarian chef József C. Dobos, a delicatessen owner in Budapest.